Definite proof the Knights Templar accepted women. Excerpt from Gnostic Knights Templar with Helena B. Scott.
This lady is Ireland's second Black Madonna, okay? We are told that we only have one Black Madonna in Ireland from a Cistercian monastery in Dublin, and she is Flemish, of Flemish origin. This lady is from Spain, my maternal country, where I was born and where my mother's lineage comes from as well, okay? My mother's family, I won't get into it, but it's a very, very old family in Castile in the north of Spain, and they were involved in the Crusades and other things, but I will leave that for another day. So what I discovered was that she had been hidden away and nobody knew about her. And I wanted to get her story out because, again, I am about secret history, giving a voice to the voiceless, bringing back what has been forgotten or omitted. So she had been forgotten. The last time she was seen is on the left. You see her number one there, the Virgin number one. She was polychromated, okay? And she was seen in 1947, photographed by Dr. Catriona MacLeod, who specializes in medieval religious statues. And then she was never seen again until recently. And I've been engaging with the locals. I did speak to some nuns of a convent that would have had the Virgin prior to her being in the church where she is now. And they mentioned that she was taken out in a procession in 1947 due to a flood, a local flood in the area. The area has quite a lot of floods. Now, this Madonna is quite important because she is modeled on a Spanish Virgin. So she's from Spain, but she's modeled on an actual Black Madonna that was originally a Black Madonna in Spain that was known for miracles, the Virgin of Charity. Charity, Caritas, in medieval times has everything to do with the Knights Templar. But it's not giving to the poor. It's the love that we have for one another, as Christ preached, and later on Mary Magdalene as well. So, and charity is very important in Masonic circles as well, okay? And Caritas, not the charity that we understand today, even though they're very involved in giving. So I traced her whole story, and I have a book that's coming out on the side of my dissertation just on her, because I wanted to give her voice back. And she was donated by Waterford merchants family, Patrick Lincoln and Mary Dobbin. Patrick Lincoln was a wine merchant. Now, I mentioned before that wine is connected to the Templars, and I've got a series of lectures that I did, and I resurrected the wine and so on. Well, if you follow the wine trade, you tend to end up with the Templars always. So it's a really interesting thing to look at. And again, wine and the Templars has been very, very overlooked. So this family, Mary Dobbin, donated her to the church when her husband died. Her husband dies in 1666, I believe. And she donated to the church in 1700. And I managed to photograph the grave the other day. It's never been photographed before. I took the parish priest on a wild hunt with me, getting into a garden and doing things that, well, we shouldn't be doing. No, we should. He had the key, so it was legal. And we found the tomb and we photographed it. So that will be in the book as well. And it was really nice because Mary Dobbin, her name was not Dobbin, Dobbyn, but actually D''Auban, from Auban in France. Dauban. So that changes everything. But she was also the daughter of William Dobbin of Ballynakill House in Waterford. He's connected to the Jacobites, and there are connections to the Templars because that area there was Templar. And the Templars had a castle and I believe a church in the island across from him. So anyway, so the daughter donates this virgin, and later on the family had a daughter, who married into the Murphy family. And it's the Murphy family that I looked at to find the origins of this virgin, because I couldn't find anything in Ireland. So I had to know Spanish. I had to go to Spain. I had to go through the files and the family genealogy there, and I managed to find the family called Murphy Porro. And the Murphy Porro family emigrated to Malaga, where there's a virgin tradition. Okay, it's actually called Malaga Virgen, the wine that they have there. So they've named a wine after the Virgin. So again, follow the trail of the wine and you will find Templars. So they established a shipping company in Malaga, and they married into the nobility, and then they established a shipping company in Mexico. But what's interesting is, and I believe they were in Cuba as well. In Cuba, we have, shortly after they established all these shipping companies, we have a Virgin of Charity in Cuba too. La Virgen de la Caridad del Cobre, the Virgin of Charity in Copper. I feel, and some scholars feel, was influenced by this particular type of Virgin of Charity. And the last thing I'll say about this Madonna, which is really interesting, is not just the whole story that I traced and how she was brought to Ireland during a time when you could face death for doing that, because it was the Reformation and the penal times, and we don't have any native statues that have survived. We only have a handful of religious statues. Most of them are Spanish, actually, like this one, because they were all destroyed because people would be either imprisoned or executed for having a Madonna or bringing one. So she would have been smuggled in a wine ship into Ireland. And the Madonna of Charity represents hope for the people. But again, it also shows us how the Templars revered the feminine as Gnostics as well, Sophia for them, and how they protected her because she wasn't destroyed. She was brought in by a Templar descendant family, kept safe, and she has survived. One of the few that has survived. And that's a wonderful thing to celebrate. And she was modeled, like I said, on a Black Madonna in Spain. She's associated with many miracles in the Catholic Church. There's a page that you can follow, the miracles of virgins, and the Virgin of Charity, which is originally Spanish, has a lot attributed to her medieval times. But the interesting thing that I'll mention here with Black Madonnas, and I'll leave it there, is if we look at the first ever painting that we have of Mother Mary, attributed to St. Luke, that was found by St. Helena in Jerusalem, and she brought it back to Constantinople, and then somehow it ended up in Poland, in Jasna Gora, the Mount of Light monastery. Again, the light being connected to these statues and Isis and Sophia and the Brotherhoods of Light, Templars, Cathars, Freemasons. She was Black. That first painting was Black. She's the Lady of Częstochowa in Poland, okay? And this Madonna was also originally modeled on a painting. So there was a previous Madonna to this one that was found on a riverbed carved in oak in 1494 near Toledo in Spain. But she had been modeled on a painting that was brought to Toledo by a bishop in 636, which was also of Mother Mary and was also Black, Black Madonna. So there is a tradition. If we go to the next slide, just before I get into this, there's a tradition, and I have it in my lectures, of maps, and you can follow the Templar preceptories, the places where you have found Black Madonnas, and you can see that they actually match, which is really interesting. So that's a little bit of my dissertation for you guys. This is also my dissertation. We're getting towards the end of today. Now, I'm not going to get you to read documents, but what this is the Knights Templar rule. Like Dr. Helen Nicholson and Alan J. Forey, particularly Helen Nicholson, who in her PhD went back to primary sources and discovered that we did have records of women in the orders and in the Templar order, but they had been omitted, possibly by, bias or who knows. But one of the things that I found during my master's was that until 50 years ago, we had no women historians either, which makes it really interesting. Yeah. And if you go to Wikipedia, 66% of contributors are male, and only 10% of subjects are female related. The women get left out all the time. And this is something that I want to work on, bring them back, because it is what the Knights Templar were doing. That cross that the Templars wear on their left breast is not a cross that has to do with the Catholic Church or Christianity. The cross dates back to over 40,000 years ago. We can look at the work of Canadian paleoanthropologist Genevieve von Petzinger, She's got a book for signs, which is really, really good. And she shows how the cross can be found in caves.
Oh.
And the cross, like the Egyptian Ankh, was the union of the masculine and feminine. Okay, the Ankh was the breath of life, the womb, the looped part, and the straight part being the phallus of the man, and that created life when united. It's like the anointing ceremony is the orb and the scepter. It's the same thing, or the ring and rod in Mesopotamia. So the cross was the union of the masculine and feminine, but the balance between them. And it was worn on the left side, which is the left-hand feminine path. And this is why there is such a reverence for the feminine in the Templar order and in the Cistercians. But this has been left out.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, well, this has been left out of the modern Templar rules, which I don't understand, you know. So in the screen there, we have in the middle the English translation by Upton Ward, which has left it all out. The Gnostic concept of the feminine side of God, Sophia, or medieval terms Dame Dieu, has been completely obliterated by her. And I don't understand why, and I'll show you in a minute. And then we have on the left a translation. For me, it's the most accurate translation of the Knights Templar rule by a French man called Henry de Courson in 1886. It's both in Latin and French. So if you know Latin, you can actually verify, and if you understand medieval French, that this is a real accurate translation that this man did. And then on the on the right, we have the yellow one there in English, the Temple Rule of 1129 AD by Prince Matthew of Thebes. Now, for me, that is exactly the same as the French one from 1886, so very accurate. It has not left out anything. But my only complaint is that it's only the first 72 articles. I wish he had done them all, because the rule got to be 686 articles. So the only way that you can accurately rely on, and I haven't gone through the rest of Upton Ward's text. I will at some point, but I haven't had time to go through the 686. But I did go through the most important articles using, if we go to the next slide, please, a medieval rule, which, there you go. So all of you can find this online in the Walters collection. It's free to access and you can find it. Now you have to get used to reading medieval French and understanding it. But this text I showed in a workshop with my students how it matches, and I taught them how to read it. And we can see there. Okay, now if you look at where I have that arrow there, so bien ouvre Dame Dieu avec nous et notre Sauveur Jésus-Christ. Okay, Dame Dieu is in bold there. That is the feminine side of God. Translated in English sometimes as Our Lady of God, but it's really the feminine side of God. Yes? That's not in the Upton Ward. That whole chunk has been taken out. If we go to the next flute, yeah. I don't know why. And anytime that actually Dame Dieu is mentioned, it's taken out. So that's interesting. So you can see it there. That's the 1886 French of Henry de Courson, and he has included it there. Okay, and that's the English there. So you can see there. So the good works of Our Lady of God in French, Dame Dieu. Now, this is not Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene, because when the French in medieval refer to Mother Mary is Notre Dame, and Mary Magdalene is Saint Marie. When they talk about Dame Dieu, we're talking about the same Gnostic concept as Sophia. Same thing. So this has been taken out. And this is a very good piece of evidence to show us another of the many evidences that we have that the Knights Templar were not just revering the feminine, but had Gnostic foundations.
Thanks for listening, all you heretics. Support this Red Pill Cafeteria